Welcome back. I'm really glad you're here because today we're going to talk about something that quietly affects so many men, yet almost no one explains it clearly. If you've ever felt that subtle shift in her energy, if you've noticed her pulling back, replying a little slower, seeming a little distant after things felt warm and connected, you probably felt that familiar knot in your stomach. The immediate thought most men have is simple and painful. She's losing interest. But what if that assumption isn't accurate? What if instead of losing interest, she's actually experiencing something much more complex? What if she's not stepping away because she feels less, but because she feels more? Here's the truth that changes everything. Sometimes when a woman pulls back, she isn't withdrawing her attraction. She's trying to manage it. She's sorting through emotions that feel strong, unfamiliar, or even overwhelming. And when emotions feel intense, especially if she's been hurt before, her instinct isn't always to lean in. Sometimes her instinct is to slow down. Think of it this way. When something matters deeply to us, we tend to handle it carefully. We become thoughtful, we pause, we reflect. For many women, emotional connection carries weight. It isn't casual, it isn't light. So when she starts feeling something real, her mind may step in and ask questions. Is this safe? Is this consistent? Am I ready? Can I trust this? From the outside, that inner dialogue can look like distance. It can look like mixed signals. One day she's warm and open, the next she's quieter, more reserved. But that shift is often not a drop in interest. It's her heart and her mind trying to align. Most men don't see it this way. They see the distance and assume rejection. They feel anxiety rise, and that anxiety pushes them to react. They send more messages. They ask for reassurance. They try to fix something that might not be broken at all. And ironically, that reaction can create the very outcome they were afraid of. When she senses panic or pressure, her nervous system responds. Instead of feeling safe, she feels rushed. Instead of feeling understood, she feels cornered. What may have started as a natural emotional processing phase suddenly turns into real tension. It's important to understand that emotional intensity can trigger caution. When feelings grow quickly, especially if she didn't expect them to, her protective instincts can activate. She may like you, she may feel drawn to you, but she also remembers past experiences, past disappointments, past times when she opened up too fast and paid the price. So she slows herself down. This doesn't mean she's calculating or playing games. It means she's human. Emotions aren't always linear. They don't move in a straight line from attraction to commitment. Sometimes they expand, contract, and recalibrate. You might notice small changes. Maybe she takes longer to reply. Maybe she seems thoughtful instead of bubbly. Maybe she cancels a plan, not with coldness, but with a hint of uncertainty. If you look closely, the warmth isn't gone. It's just layered with hesitation, and that hesitation often has nothing to do with your worth. This is a crucial shift in perspective. When you interpret her distance as a verdict on you, you enter defense mode. But when you understand it as an internal process she's navigating, you respond differently. You stay steady, you stay grounded, you don't collapse into overthinking. Let me share something that illustrates this dynamic clearly. Imagine a woman who meets someone she genuinely enjoys. The connection feels easy, conversations flow, laughter comes naturally. She feels seen and appreciated. For a few weeks, everything moves smoothly. Then, almost without warning, she begins to feel a swirl of deeper emotions. She starts thinking about what this could become. She wonders whether she's ready for something serious. She questions whether she can trust the feeling. Instead of diving in blindly, she instinctively creates a little space, not because she doesn't care, but because she cares enough to be careful. If the man reacts with calm confidence, she feels reassured. If he reacts with pressure or insecurity, her caution intensifies. Her distance, in this case, is not a signal of emotional withdrawal. It's a sign of emotional awareness. She is checking in with herself. Understanding this reduces so much unnecessary frustration. It helps you stop chasing clarity through force. It teaches you to observe patterns instead of reacting to moments. Attraction is rarely destroyed by space itself. It's often damaged by how space is handled. When you remain composed, when you respect her rhythm, when you continue living your life with purpose and stability, you communicate something powerful without saying a word. You show that your sense of self isn't fragile. You show that you can handle emotional complexity. That steadiness is deeply attractive. Many men think attraction is about constant intensity, constant messaging, constant reassurance. but healthy attraction often breathes. It expands and contracts naturally. If you try to lock it into a fixed position, it resists. When she steps back, instead of asking, "What did I do wrong?" try asking, "What might she be processing?" That single shift changes your energy. It changes your tone. It changes your behavior. You stop trying to pull her forward. You allow her to move at her own pace. And here's something important to remember. If she truly were losing interest, you would usually see consistency in that direction. Emotional withdrawal that is genuine tends to become clearer over time, not more conflicted. Mixed signals often indicate mixed emotions, not absence of emotion. The push and pull you feel is often the sign of an internal tug of war. Desire on one side, caution on the other. Her heart may want closeness. Her mind may demand reassurance. Your role isn't to win that battle for her. Your role is to create an environment where her heart feels safe enough to speak louder than her fear. That doesn't mean ignoring red flags or accepting disrespect. It means understanding that hesitation and emotional pacing are not the same as rejection. It means recognizing that her need for space can coexist with genuine attraction. When you adopt this perspective, something powerful happens. You become less reactive. You become more intentional. Instead of chasing validation, you embody stability. And stability, especially in moments of uncertainty, stands out. This is where many connections either collapse or deepen. The man who panics feeds the tension. The man who stays centered becomes a steady presence she can lean toward when she's ready. So the next time you sense her pulling back, resist the urge to label it immediately. Breathe, observe, maintain your life, your routines, your confidence. Let her process without interference. Often, when she feels that you are not trying to control the pace, her nervous system relaxes. Her internal conflict softens, and she steps forward again, not because she was chased, but because she felt safe. This is the foundation. She's not necessarily losing interest. She may be fighting feelings, sorting through emotions, and trying to protect her heart while still exploring connection. Understanding that difference changes everything. Now that you understand that her distance can be a sign of emotional processing rather than rejection, let's go deeper into what's really happening beneath the surface. When a woman feels a strong connection, it doesn't just register as excitement. It activates layers of memory, past experiences, hopes, fears, and protective instincts all at once. Attraction may be the spark, but emotion is the fire, and fire can feel both warm and dangerous. Inside her, there can be a quiet tug of war. One side wants to lean in, to enjoy the chemistry, to let the bond grow naturally. The other side whispers caution. It asks whether this connection is stable, whether the timing is right, whether opening up will lead to fulfillment or disappointment. This inner dialogue can create visible shifts in behavior. You might see her affectionate and expressive one evening, then thoughtful and slightly distant the next. It's not manipulation, it's regulation. She's adjusting her emotional pace so she doesn't outrun her own comfort level. Many men misinterpret this fluctuation as inconsistency or confusion, but mixed signals often reflect layered feelings, not lack of clarity. She can be certain that she likes you and still be uncertain about how fast she wants things to move. She can feel desire while simultaneously evaluating long-term compatibility. Emotional complexity doesn't cancel attraction. It often intensifies it. When feelings begin to matter, stakes feel higher. If she didn't care, she wouldn't need to slow down. The very fact that she is pausing can be evidence that something meaningful is developing. People rarely step back from what feels insignificant. They step back from what feels important enough to handle carefully. There's another layer to this that many overlook. Emotional safety is deeply connected to consistency. If your energy shifts dramatically in response to her pullback, her nervous system notices. If you become reactive, overly intense, or visibly insecure, it confirms her fear that strong emotion equals instability. But if you remain steady, respectful, and composed, you communicate reliability without having to say a word. Think of it like this. She is testing the emotional climate, not in a calculated way, but in a subconscious one. When she creates space, she is observing what fills that space. Does it fill with pressure or does it remain calm? If it remains calm, her internal tension softens. If it fills with urgency, she tightens. Another important point is that silence does not automatically equal disengagement. Sometimes silence is reflection. When she doesn't respond immediately, she may simply be thinking. When she cancels a plan, it may not be about you at all. It may be about her needing time to recalibrate her emotional pace. This is where patience becomes powerful. Patience is not passivity, it is active emotional control. It means you continue to show interest, but without overcompensating. You stay warm without becoming overwhelming. You stay present without demanding reassurance. That balance is rare, and because it is rare, it stands out. Men who understand this dynamic don't obsess over every small behavioral change. They zoom out and look at the overall pattern. Is she still engaging? Does she still initiate sometimes? Is there warmth when you're together? If the answer is yes, the foundation is likely intact. What often disrupts that foundation is fear-driven behavior, sending multiple follow-up messages, asking for constant clarification, subtly accusing her of losing interest. These reactions may feel justified in the moment, but they amplify emotional pressure. Instead, respond with grounded confidence. If she slows down, you slightly slow down too. Not as punishment, but as alignment. You match energy without dramatizing it. You give her the breathing room she is quietly asking for. There's also something deeply attractive about a man who remains centered during uncertainty. Emotional steadiness signals strength. It shows that your identity doesn't crumble when the rhythm shifts. That steadiness creates a safe container for her feelings to settle. Remember, when her heart and mind are negotiating, she is looking for evidence that moving forward is wise. She is evaluating how you handle complexity. She is watching whether you respect her boundaries or try to override them. And this evaluation doesn't require interrogation. It happens through observation. Another subtle truth is that her emotional rhythm may fluctuate based on factors you don't see. Stress at work, family dynamics, personal insecurities. None of these automatically diminish attraction, but they can influence responsiveness. If you personalize every fluctuation, you create unnecessary anxiety for yourself and tension for her. When you stop taking every shift personally, you gain emotional freedom. You become less reactive and more intentional. That intention shows up in your tone, your timing, and your presence. It's also important to maintain your own life during these moments. Continue pursuing your goals, spend time with friends, focus on your health and growth. When she sees that you are grounded in your own world, it reduces subconscious pressure. She doesn't feel like your emotional stability depends on her behavior. Independence is attractive because it communicates choice rather than need. This doesn't mean becoming distant in return. It means staying balanced. You're engaged, but not clinging. Interested, but not anxious. Open, but not demanding. When she senses that you can handle the push and pull without losing yourself, her internal conflict begins to resolve more easily. The caution side of her mind starts to relax because the environment feels secure. And here's something reassuring. Emotional push and pull often decreases over time when handled correctly. As trust builds, the need for self-protection decreases. The early stages of connection are where uncertainty is highest. With consistency and patience, that uncertainty gradually transforms into stability. So if you're experiencing that hot and cold dynamic right now, pause before labeling it as the beginning of the end. Ask yourself how you're responding. Are you feeding anxiety or embodying steadiness? Her fight isn't necessarily against you, it's often a negotiation within herself. When you stop trying to control the outcome and instead focus on showing up with maturity and calm confidence, you change the entire dynamic. Attraction thrives in environments where both people feel safe to move at their own pace. If you can provide that space without withdrawing your presence, you become someone she associates with emotional security rather than emotional pressure. And emotional security is one of the strongest foundations attraction can grow on. Now let's bring everything together in a practical, grounded way. Understanding that she may be fighting feelings instead of losing interest is powerful, but knowledge alone isn't enough. What truly matters is how you respond in those moments when her energy shifts. That response is what determines whether the connection strengthens or slowly fades. The first thing to remember is that attraction is deeply connected to emotional stability. When she pulls back and you immediately react with panic, frustration, or pressure, the emotional tone changes. Instead of feeling drawn toward you, she feels responsible for regulating your emotions. That dynamic quietly reduces attraction because it replaces curiosity and excitement with tension. But when you respond with calm composure, something very different happens. You communicate that you are secure within yourself. You show that you don't need constant reassurance to feel grounded. That steadiness makes her internal conflict easier to resolve. Her mind begins to trust what her heart is already feeling. Confidence in this context does not mean arrogance or indifference. It means emotional control. It means you can feel uncertainty without being consumed by it. You can notice distance without turning it into a dramatic story. You can continue showing interest without overextending yourself. Another essential element is respecting her pace without abandoning your own standards. Giving space does not mean tolerating disrespect. It means recognizing the difference between healthy processing and genuine withdrawal. If she communicates, engages, and shows warmth over time, even if the rhythm fluctuates, the connection is likely still alive. If she consistently avoids, dismisses, or disregards you, that is different. Emotional intelligence includes knowing when to be patient and when to step back for your own well-being. One of the most attractive qualities during this phase is consistency. Not intensity, not constant messaging, consistency. If you say you'll call, you call. If you make plans, you follow through. If you express appreciation, you mean it. That reliability builds quiet trust. It reduces the need for her to question whether the connection is stable. While she is sorting through her emotions, she is observing patterns. She notices how you speak about challenges. She notices how you handle disappointment. She notices whether your energy remains respectful even when you don't get immediate validation. These details matter far more than dramatic gestures. It's also important to maintain your independence. Continue investing in your goals, your health, your friendships, your personal growth. When your life remains full and purposeful, you send a powerful message. You are choosing to be with her, not depending on her to feel whole. That sense of choice creates attraction. Dependence creates pressure. There's a subtle shift that happens when you stop trying to solve her behavior and start focusing on embodying strength and warmth at the same time. Instead of analyzing every text, you look at the overall direction of the connection. Instead of demanding clarity, you allow clarity to reveal itself through actions over time. This mindset protects your peace. It keeps you from spiraling into overthinking. And it allows the natural rhythm of connection to unfold without unnecessary interference. If she steps back temporarily and you remain composed, you create emotional safety. Safety is what allows vulnerability to grow. When she sees that her need for space doesn't trigger chaos, her guard lowers. She feels more comfortable leaning in again. Remember, her fight with her feelings is often about risk. Risk of getting hurt, risk of moving too fast, risk of choosing incorrectly. When you respond with steadiness, you reduce perceived risk. You become a calm presence rather than an emotional storm. And here is the deeper truth. Not every push and pull ends in a lasting relationship, but the way you handle it shapes who you become. When you learn to stay grounded during uncertainty, you develop emotional resilience. That resilience benefits every future connection, whether this one evolves or not. Instead of fearing her distance, see it as information. It tells you where she is emotionally. It gives you insight into her pace, her boundaries, her internal dialogue. Information is useful when interpreted calmly. It becomes destructive only when filtered through insecurity. As you move forward, keep this simple principle in mind. Respond, don't react. Reactions are fast and fear-driven. Responses are thoughtful and intentional. When you respond, you align your behavior with your values rather than your anxiety. If she slows down, you don't disappear and you don't overwhelm. You stay warm but measured, interested but self-assured, present but not demanding. That balance keeps attraction alive. And perhaps most importantly, stop tying your worth to her momentary behavior. Her hesitation does not define your value. Her need for space does not reduce your attractiveness. When you internalize that truth, your energy changes. You become less anxious, more magnetic. Over time, she will either lean in fully because she feels safe and certain, or she will gradually step away because the connection isn't aligned. Either outcome is clarity, and clarity, even when it's difficult, is healthier than living in constant fear. So if you remember nothing else, remember this. When she pulls back, it is often a sign that emotions are real enough to require care. Stay grounded, stay consistent, stay independent. Let your steadiness speak louder than your worry. She's not necessarily losing interest. She may be fighting feelings, protecting her heart while deciding how deeply to invest. When you understand that, you stop chasing, you stop panicking, you start leading with emotional maturity. And that is the kind of presence that naturally draws someone closer, not because they were pressured, but because they felt safe choosing you. Now, I'd love for you to reflect. Have you ever mistaken distance for disinterest? Have you reacted in ways that later pushed someone further away? Awareness is the first step toward growth. When you approach connection with patience, confidence, and emotional intelligence, you don't just improve one relationship, you elevate the way you show up in all of them. Remember, connection isn't built by force. It grows in an environment of trust, space, and steady presence. When you become that steady presence, you don't have to chase attraction. It finds its way back to you.